The Trumpers are threatening civil war. Now, you may think that this is just par for the course because they've been screaming that for years. And more to the point, they've been screaming it so loudly that a civil war might be inevitable. But they're not fighting a civil war for equality or against oppression or the things that the original civil war in this country was about. They're fighting a civil war for Donald Trump. All because Donald Trump is being taken to task for his actions. And I'm not saying this out of the goodness of my own mind. I'm saying this because Donald Trump's supporters are saying it. To help me with this, I'm going to read you several passages from a rawstory.com article written by Tom Bergoni. Forgive me if I'm screwing that name up. There will be a civil war. Trump fans rage after Georgia judge orders trial to proceed. Now, of course, the Georgia judge is actually Scott McCaffrey, and the trial we're talking about is, of course, the RICO trial over the fact that Donald Trump tried to steal votes from it. The trial that's already gotten several people to talk, including a couple of Donald Trump's attorneys, and not to mention his former chief of staff, who's trying to get a deal to stay out of prison. Anyway, all this is happening because McCaffrey, in a 14-page ruling, reaffirmed that Trump should stand trial on the RICO charges because of the 2020 election interference attempt, even after Donald Trump's lawyers tried to use the First Amendment as an excuse for saying, it's First Amendment. He has a right to say what he wants. McCaffrey retaliated with that, saying in his ruling, and I quote, "Although the First Amendment is a broad umbrella that shelters all political points of view and shields a wide range of avenues for expression, free speech, including political speech, is not without restriction." Now, McCaffrey is absolutely right. You can't just walk into a crowded theater, scream fire when there is no fire, and not be held accountable for it. Donald Trump, in that phone call, asked for the Georgia Secretary of State to find votes that will swing the election back to him. That's not political speech. That's a conspiracy. That is a crime. But unfortunately, people on Twitter are angry. And by people, I mean Donald Trump supporters, throwing all kinds of accusations against McCaffrey, saying that he took a bribe to throw Donald Trump under the bus, to the fact that he may be a quote-unquote fan of Fani Willis, to the point where her judges are being paid off to throw Donald Trump under the bus. The fact that he's corrupt, and the fact that Joe Biden and his son Hunter should be in prison first. But the one comment that should scare us all is from a group called American Rebel, who posted, and I quote, "McCaffrey wants celebrity status. Unfortunately, if President Trump is found guilty, there will be a civil war." Trump supporters are not playing games. These people want a war. They're craving it. But here's the thing. It really saddens me that they're not fighting because they think Joe Biden's oppressed them, that Joe Biden's enslaved them, that Joe Biden is taking away constitutional rights a piece at a time, a day at a time. No. They're fighting, they want to fight the war for Donald Trump. I have made this plea several times on several videos. I've asked this of so many people in this country I don't know how many times. And I know it's all fallen on deaf ears with Donald Trump because you cannot reason with the people who are dead set in their thinking that Donald Trump is a saint, that Donald Trump is a savior, that Donald Trump is their Messiah, that Donald Trump is their God. And no matter how much talking you do to these people, no matter how much evidence you show these people, matter of fact, I'm going to go there. I know I'm going to get heat for saying this, but I'm going to go there. It's like dealing with ISIS or the Taliban or Al-Qaeda. You can't rationalize and talk to people who would have absolutely no wish to talk, to debate. They're gone. And they are not making their intentions a secret. They want war. They want to burn this country to the ground, all for the sake of Donald Trump. All for the sake of a man that will stab them in the back. And they know it. And that's the sad part of it. So my plea is going to fall on deaf ears, but I'm going to make it anyway. For those of you who are Trump supporters, heaven bless you. Whatever. Gil, do you. But when you start making threats of civil war for the sake of Donald Trump, when you start making threats of killing people for the sake of Donald Trump, you have a serious problem. You cross the line from being Americans to being criminals, to being traitors. And the worst part about it is you know what you're doing is wrong, what you're proposing is wrong. You know you're going to lose your lives, not for freedom, not for the flag, not for the Constitution, not for the country, but for Donald Trump. The absolute worst reason to lose your life for. But all of this reminds me of Ulysses S. Grant, former president of the United States, in his letter to his father and his younger sister. This quote: "Whatever may have been my political opinions before, I have but one sentiment now. That is, we have a government, laws, and a flag, and they must be sustained. There are but two parties now, traitors and patriots. I hereafter want to be ranked with the latter, and I trust the stronger party." We're seeing that right now. But with respect to President Grant, I'm afraid I'm going to have to change those last words. We have but two parties now, thanks to threats like this of civil war for Donald Trump. We have two parties now: Donald Trump supporters and Americans. And like President Grant, I hereafter want to be ranked with the latter, Americans, and I trust the stronger party. So for all of you Donald Trump supporters threatening civil war, not for the flag, not for the Constitution, not for America, not for the country, not for your families, not for anything you say you hold dear in this great land, if you're planning on going to war, if you're planning on killing your brothers of America for Donald Trump, then you cease to be Americans in my eyes. Now, you can take this as a threat if you want to, but it is not a threat, it's a plea. You will cease being Americans in my eyes, and you will be criminals, traitors in my eyes. Because if you're planning on going to war for Donald Trump, if you're willing to burn our nation, our great nation, regardless of everything that's gone wrong, we try to fix it and make it right. If you're willing to burn down the nearly 250-year experiment of constitutional republic for Donald Trump, you are no longer Americans in my eyes. You might as well go outside. If you have a flagpole, take that flag down and burn it. And put up the Trump flag. That way I can identify you as to who is real Americans and who are traitors. Please share this video. These people are not playing games. Just a few days ago, I talked to a Trump supporter on Twitter, saying that he's willing to kill for Donald Trump. That he's willing to die for Trump. That's the wrong way of looking at this. If you're willing to die for a cause, then die for your country. Die for your freedoms. Die for the freedoms of others. Die for your family. To my brothers and sisters in the military, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Space Force, Coast Guard, Reserve, Guard, you know the risks you take every day you wear those uniforms when you serve in peacetime or in the combat zone. You know that sometimes at some point you may not make it home, and you accepted those risks. You never accept the risk that you could actually fight and die for one man's lust for power. Don't do it. And I'm sorry to even mention this woman's name. Ashley Babbitt betrayed our country on January 6th. She betrayed everything that the uniform stands for, is supposed to stand for. Let that be your example of being the worst reasons to die for. Donald Trump is not worth tearing this country apart for. He is not worth dying for. And that's exactly what these people think. They want to make themselves into martyrs for the Trump cause. What cause is Trump? He's not like Nelson Mandela or Malcolm X or Martin Luther King. He's not Abraham Lincoln. He is a man who's done crimes in this country, who is finally being taken to task, and you are all angry over that. You're not seeing this as a racial injustice. You're seeing this as your ticket to be as evil as you want to be to everyone that you want to marginalize. That is the wrong way to do this. Donald Trump ain't worth that. He is certainly not worth it. Don't die for him. It's not worth it. Don't destroy our country for him. He's definitely not worth it. CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.